Dear students of philosophy and respected participants of this session, today we shall discuss duty and niskama karma. This is a very beautiful topic. We know that man is a rational animal. So human action is rational action. Rational action is a human possibility. We can expect rational animal from humans. We can't expect rational action from animals. And man is not always rational. Sometimes man acts emotionally. Sometimes man gives only reactions. We shall discuss that in details. But generally we all know that there are two types of actions: voluntary action and involuntary action. Voluntary action is that action which we do deliberately, which you do by exercising our free will, which we do by our choice, which we do intentionally. With a purpose, with an end. That is voluntary action. That means voluntarily, consciously, knowingly, deliberately, we do something. But many actions are done involuntarily. Involuntarily means where we don't exercise our free will, where we have no choice. Suppose the action of a child. If we commit a small mistake, that will be taken seriously. But if a child commits a very big mistake, that child will be excused, because that action is an involuntary action. The child is not aware of the nature and the consequence of the action. Any mistake a child can do, he or she will be excused. And we cannot judge that action as good or bad. That action cannot be judged as good or bad, right or wrong. Suppose a child committed a mistake. We have to tolerate it. We have to accept it. We have to be careful so that a child cannot break the glass, a child cannot touch current, or can commit any mistake. We have to be careful. That will be our fault. That will be the fault of the mother. That will be the fault of the caretaker. But the child is not responsible. We cannot fix responsibility to a child. But if we commit a small mistake, we are responsible for that. That means some actions breed responsibility. Some actions do not have any responsibility. Then when there is responsibility, when we exercise our free will, if we are free to do an action, if we have a choice, then we are responsible for our choice. Because there are many options. And we are free to opt one choice. So that is our personal decision, personal choice. And we are free to make that choice. And by that, we remain responsible. So free will and responsibility go hand in hand. If we are not free, then we are not responsible. If we are free, we like to enjoy freedom, then we have to take responsibility. God has blessed us with freedom. Only man has freedom. Only man has free will. Free will means we can act, we can respond to a situation according to our personal wishes. That means our responses are not predictable. But the reaction of an animal is predictable. We can predict that how an animal will react if we do so and so. Suppose we disturb the motion of an animal. Any way we disturb an animal, the animal will react. But if we insult a person, if we disturb a person, if we cause any harm to a person, we cannot predict that the insulted person, the victim, will react this way or that way. We can't predict because he has his own free choice. Suppose I insulted my friend and I think that my friend will feel insulted because I have insulted. So I expect that my friend will feel insulted. If he feels insulted, then I shall be happy. Because that is my expectation, that is my intention. My intention is to insult my friend, to offend my friend, and if my friend feels offended or feels insulted, then I shall be happy. But on the contrary, my friend responded that situation differently. He did not feel insulted. He smiled. He took it lightly. Lightly, intelligently. Intelligently, he took it lightly. Many times we do that. In that situation, the person who was trying to insult will be insulted. I was trying to insult my friend. If my friend does not feel insulted, then that will return to me. Then I shall feel insulted. I shall get angry because my expectation was not fulfilled. Suppose I am hungry. If an animal is hungry, then the animal will take food naturally, instinctively, and he will react in a particular way. As generally it is expected in the situation of hunger. But in case of a man, even if we are hungry, we think of our prestige, our image. We think of our circumstance, and we deny to take food. That means we can respond to a situation in a different way. That means human actions may be done unexpectedly. Unexpectedly. We expect something, but we see the difference that man should behave this way, but he is not behaving that way. Why? Because that is his choice. So every man has his own choice. He has freedom. He is free to act. Secondly, not only he is free, but also he is responsible for his freedom. And any action which is done freely and which is subject to responsibility, that action can be judged as good or bad, right or wrong. Not only of a little child, but also of an old man. The action of an old man whose age is about 90 years or 95 years. Old age is the second childhood. So they behave like children. They behave abnormally. Not all, but some. They behave abnormally. They behave like children. So they also commit some mistakes, and we have to manage taking those actions as involuntary actions. We cannot judge that he or she committed a mistake. a patient, young man, very smart man, but he's suffering from, suppose, corona or from any other disease, then he's unconscious. In that stage, if he does some mistake, then that action is also involuntary action. We can't say that it is good or bad. The action of a mad person is neither good nor bad, because that is involuntary action. He may be arrested. If he is causing harm to the society, he may be arrested, but he is not arrested with the charge of the offense, only to protect others. So in all these cases, our actions cannot be judged as good or bad, or right or wrong. But what was the position of Arjuna in the battlefield? When everybody is ready to fight, in the battlefield, there is a general expectation that a warrior should behave like a hero. He should not behave emotionally. He should have a sound mind. He should not be confused. But Arjuna is a man. Arjuna is a rational man. Being rational, he has a free will, as we discussed now. He has free will, he has free choice, and he can do, he can behave, he can respond at any place, at any time, according to his choice. So the battlefield, whether it is a battlefield or not, it does not, it is not a question for him, because he is free to respond according to his free will, free choice. Arjuna was confused in the battlefield by his free choice. Therefore, that is a voluntary action. That is not an involuntary action. That is a voluntary action. And Arjuna is responsible for his free action, for his confusion. But one may be responsible. Responsibility, when we fail to hold our responsibility, to commit to our responsibility, we may be punished. That is the consequence of our action. But when we are doing an action, we exercise our free will, what to do and what not to do. We are always placed in a crossroad. There are multiple choices. There are alternative choices in every situation of life, in every fact of our life, every instance of our life. We are always placed in the crossroads. In every problem, there are different solutions, different options, and generally we get confused to choose one, to go in one direction. In which direction we shall go, that is a general confusion. So here Arjuna represents a common man. A common man. Lord Krishna represents himself as a man of wisdom. So the dialogue is between a common man who is asking questions, who is confused, and who is giving answer, the man who has realization, the man who has understanding, who has wisdom. The point of discussion is that if we do an action exercising our free will, we are responsible for that action. So, when we are exercising our free will, which is a God gift, which is a God gifted quality, God has blessed with that quality. We have to be very, very careful, because once the action is done, it is done forever. Action done means done. So before we do an action, better like Arjuna, we should think, we should ask a question, what is good and what is bad. So I take the position of Arjuna in a very positive sense. That is the sign of rationality, that if immediately you are doing something, when you are just completing your action, that action is completed, the action is done. You can't repair your action, you can't return your action, you can't do anything. So before doing an action, we think, rethink, think again and again, think 100 times, we discuss with others, and we come to a conclusion what to do, what not to do. This is very natural and this is rational, natural and rational. So Arjuna was a rational man. And every common man is a rational man. And every common man is a confused man. And that confusion is natural. Confusion is a sign of rationality, because we need to confuse. Because there are two choices, many choices. Which choice is good? Which choice will be better for the society? That we should, and we do that. We blame Arjuna in the battlefield. But we all behave like Arjuna in our daily life, in every situation of our life. So, therefore, we have to be very, very careful in exercising our free will. If we misuse our free will, if we misuse our freedom, then we shall be responsible for the bad consequences. This is the position, this is existentialism. We exist according to our choice. We exist according to our freedom. Nobody is the owner of our freedom. Nobody is the owner of our freedom. I own my freedom. You own your freedom. Similarly, I own my responsibility too. And you own your responsibility. As you own your freedom, so also you own responsibility. Now the question is, are we really free? This is the question. So far we were discussing about freedom, responsibility, voluntary action, deliberate action, free action. But the moot question is, very important question is, am I really free? Are you really free? Are we all really free? It is very easy to say that I am free. I did this action from my free choices. But am I really free? Or I am determined by, I am preconditioned by something else. We shall discuss that. What is that something by which we are bound, we are determined, therefore we are never free? So here the question comes, whether man is free or not free. The question is whether man is free or not free. Man has freedom. Man should be free. Man loves to be free. Man likes to be free. The very inner urge in every human being to be free. Nobody wants bondage. Even an animal does not want to be chained, to be tethered. Every creature seeks freedom because freedom seeking is the natural tendency of every creature. So freedom or mukti, moksha, liberation, that is the ultimate goal of life. That is the purusartha. But are we really free? Are we doing any action freely, or the action is done by us being conditioned by something else? This is the question. If we shall observe, we shall judge silently our own actions or the actions of others, we shall come to know these are not actions, these are not voluntary actions. Voluntary, involuntary, it is generally understood. But now we are discussing it deeply. We are going to the depth of voluntary action. At the outset, it is understood what is involuntary action and what is voluntary action. It appears that I acted, I did this action voluntarily. It is understood. But now the question comes, if we are intelligent enough, if we have that realization, if we are mature enough, then simply silently observe our action and the actions of others. Are they acting freely? The answer is no. They are not acting, they are simply reacting. Many of our actions are only reactions, and we call those actions mistakenly, wrongly, as actions. But voluntary action is not cancelled. Voluntary action has its own status. It is very clearly distinguished what is voluntary action and what is non-voluntary action. Voluntary action is there, that we have freedom, it is there. Freedom is there, voluntary action is there. And man should do voluntary action. This is also there. But what is the real status of man? Are we doing voluntary action? Are we able to use our freedom? Are we acting freely? Or we are conditioned, we are preconditioned, we are determined by something else? We are determined by our habits, our thoughts, our tendencies, our in single word we can say our vasanas. I am giving an example, then you will decide whether it is action or reaction. Suppose you are expecting something from your friend, but you did not get that. And you got angry. And you are in a very heavy mood. You are you are overthinking about the dialogues. If I shall meet him, I shall ask him such and such questions. If he will reply me this way, I shall reply him that way. If again he will reply this way, I shall reply. You are maintaining all these things silently, but the friend is not. Friend is absent. This is your precondition. You are in this mood. And after 1 hour or after 2 hours, you met your friend, that friend. And you asked the question as you have rehearsed, as you have prepared. Then you did everything what you had decided. So what is this? Is it your action or the reaction of your anger, of your animosity, of your jealousy? What is that? This is simply the reaction. That means I am not free from my anger. I am not free from my anger. I got angry and I acted accordingly. That means I am conditioned by my mind, and the anger is not the permanent feature of my mind. If it be so, then that's all right. And after 2 hours or 3 hours or 1 day, anger goes. I am free from anger. If there is a possibility of freedom from anger, then why not now? Why not now? If now I am angry, but tomorrow I shall not be. Tomorrow I shall be free from that state, and I shall be happy. Then why not now? What should I do? In spite of my anger, I should respond to the situation as the situation demands. This is rationality. This is free will. This is the right way of exercising free will. In spite of my insult, that he insulted me. Here truth does not work. That I shall be truthful. It is true that he insulted me, therefore I shall react. No, this is not the way of human activity, rational activity. It is true that he insulted me, but it is to me whether I shall feel insulted or not. He did what he can do. I shall do what I can do. My action is not determined by his reactions. This is his reaction. He is reacted. My action is my action. I shall not act as I was before 3 hours, calm and quiet. Now also I am calm and quiet. What happened to me within these 3 hours? If my mind is sthitaprajna, if my mind is really established in wisdom, then no external factor, no external fact, no external situation, person, likeness, dislikeness, enjoyment, insult can disturb my mind. My mind is my internal mind. The external was external to the external world is external. I should not enter the external to my internal zone, internal fields, internal mind. You are my best friend, but you are external to me. You are not my mind. You have no right to disturb my mind, and my mind is not so weak that it will be disturbed by you or by anything else except myself. If I shall decide, if I am firm, if I am convinced, if I am sthitaprajna, if I am established in wisdom, then nothing can disturb in my mind. So I gave this example of a 2 hours, 3 hours, the example of a situation which has happened before 2 hours or 3 hours. But we have our vasanas for hundreds of years. If we don't believe in the past life, at least from the childhood, we have been habituated with certain tendencies. Our mind is habituated of certain thoughts. Our body has been habituated of certain types of tendencies. That is my vasana, and I just act according to those vasanas. It is not a common fact of all. Those who are good, those who are rational, those who are really free, they can act freely. Act freely means the first freedom is freedom from our own vasana, our own determinations, our own preconditions. So don't make your action as reactions, and don't mistake your reaction as action. Now we can judge whether the confusion of Arjuna in the battlefield was action or reaction. It was reaction. It was reaction because Arjuna was worried about the past and future. Arjuna was worried about past. Past means the past relations. That they are my brothers, they are my teachers, they are standing before me. I am going to fight with them. Why should I fight? I don't need kingdom at the cost of the bloodshed. This is all about the past memory, past thoughts, which should not disturb the present mind. Mind should be free from the past memories. And Arjuna was disturbed by the future unnecessary imaginations that so many people will be killed, there will be bloodshed, such and such consequences will take place. These are all imaginary because nobody can predict tomorrow. The future is uncertain. So any expectation of the future is imagination. So Arjuna was in the present moment, but his mind was roaming in the past and future. Therefore Arjuna was simply reacting. That was abnormal behavior of a fighter, of a kshatriya, of a warrior in the battlefield. So always judge yourself. Always judge yourself. That is called meditation. Judging yourself is meditation. Observing yourself is meditation. Always remain silent and observe your action. Action means what you did. I don't call it action. What you did. Observe what you did is an action or reaction. This is spiritual sadhana. This is the starting point of spiritual sadhana. You did something, that's all right. Don't be worried about that. Just judge yourself whether you did an action or just gave a reaction. You acted or reacted. You are acting or reacting. 99% actions are only reactions. And that reactions cause all types of psychosomatic disease. Our blood pressure, our diabetes, all types of problems, disease are due to our reactions. They are not caused by our actions. If we stop to react and start to act, then there will be no disease at all. We can stop our reactions. That means, am I really free? ମୁଁ ରାଗିଗଲି କି ମୁଁ କାହିଁକି ଏମିତି କହିଲି? ମୁଁ କହିଦେଲି ତାପରେ ମୁଁ ଚିନ୍ତା କରିବି ମୁଁ କାହିଁକି ଏମିତି କହିଲି? ମୁଁ ରାଗିଗଲି କି? ଯଦି ଇନସଲ୍ଟ ଲାଗୁଛି କାହା ଆଗରେ ଏମିତି କହିବା ପାଇଁ ନିଜେ ନିଜେ ଚିନ୍ତା କରିବାର ଅସୁବିଧା କ'ଣ? ମୁଁ ରାଗିଗଲି କି? ମୁଁ ଏମିତି ନ କହିଥିଲେ ତ ଭଲ ହେଇଥାନ୍ତା। ଯଦି ଏଇ ଥଟ୍ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଆସିଗଲା, ଆପଣ ଜାଣିବେ ଯେ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଉତ୍ତରଣ ହେଲାଣି। ଆପଣ ରିଆକ୍ସନ ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି, କିନ୍ତୁ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ସେ ରିଆକ୍ସନଟାକୁ ଆପଣ ବୁଝିପାରୁଛନ୍ତି। ବହୁତ ଲୋକ ବୁଝିପାରନ୍ତିନି। ଯୋଡ଼ିଏ ନଡ଼ିଆ ଗଛ ପାଇଁ କଳିକଜିଆ ଲାଗିଥିବ ଗାଁରେ। ଆମ ଗାଁରେ ଯୋଡ଼ିଏ ନଡ଼ିଆ ଗଛ ପାଇଁ ଯୋଡ଼େ ପଡ଼ୋଶୀ ଗୋଟିଏ ନଡ଼ିଆ ଗଛ ପାଇଁ ଏଇ ଗଛଟି ସେ ଟିକେ ଚେର ମାଡ଼ି ଯାଇଥିବ ତା ଆଡ଼ିକି। ସିଏ କହୁଥିବ ଏଇଟା ମୋ ଗଛ, ସିଏ କହୁଥିବ ଏଇଟା ମୋ ଗଛ। ସେ ଗୋଟିଏ ନଡ଼ିଆ ଗଛ ପାଇଁ ସେମାନେ ଗଲେ କୋର୍ଟକୁ। ସେଠି ହଜାର ଟଙ୍କା ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ କଲେ। 30 ବର୍ଷ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ କେସ୍ ଚାଲିଲା। ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ସେ ନଡ଼ିଆ ଗଛ ଅଛି, ଏ ଲୋକ ନାହିଁ କି ସେ ଲୋକ ନାହିଁ। ଆମେ ସବୁ ଦେଖୁଛୁ ସେ ନଡ଼ିଆ ଗଛ ଅଛି। ନଡ଼ିଆ ଗଛ ତ 100 ବର୍ଷ ବଞ୍ଚିବ। ନଡ଼ିଆ ଗଛ ଅଛି, ଏ ପଡ଼ୋଶୀ ନାହିଁ କି ସେ ପଡ଼ୋଶୀ ନାହିଁ। ଜୀବନଟା ଆମେ ବଞ୍ଚୁନେ, ଜୀବନଟା ବଞ୍ଚୁନେ। ଜୀବନଟାକୁ ଖାଲି ଆମେ ଦୌଡୁଛେ। ମାନେ ଯେମିତି ଋଣ କରିକିରି ସୁଝନ୍ତିନି, ଗୁଡ଼େ ବାସନା ଅଛି। ସେ ବାସନା ଗୁଡାକ ହଉଛି ଆମର ଲୋନ୍, ଆମର ଋଣ। ଆମେ ଖାଲି ସେ ବାସନା ଗୁଡାକ ସୁଝୁଛେ, ମାନେ we are attending our vasanas, we are attending our tendencies, and we are happy that we are doing action, and at night we take medicine to sleep. We are taking medicine to sleep only because all the time we are simply reacting. So freedom means freedom from your own vasana. Freedom is not available in the market. Freedom is not available in the scriptures. No teacher can give you freedom. Freedom means freedom from your vasana. You are Brahma, you are Atman, you are consciousness. But you think that you are your body. Because of your vasana, you think that you are your body, you are your mind, you are your intellect, you are this house, you are your position, you are your children, you are your family, you are your position, you are your chair, power. You are satisfied and you are running after the apparent world, the world of appearance. The more you run after the world of appearance, the more you create the distance from the self. And the more you exert reactions. So freedom means freedom from vasanas. ରାଗି ଗଲି କି ମୁଁ ରାଗିକିରି ଏଇଟା କଲି କି ନା ଏଇଟା ମୁଁ କରିବା ଦରକାର, କିନ୍ତୁ ରାଗିକିରି ତ କରିବା ଦରକାର ନାହିଁ। ଏଇଟା ମୁଁ ଖାଇବା ଦରକାର, ଲୋଭରେ ତ ଖାଇବା ଦରକାର ନାହିଁ। ମୋର ଖାଇବାରେ କିଛି ଭୁଲ ନାହିଁ, ଖାଇବାଟା ହଉଛି ଆକ୍ସନ। ଯଦି ଲୋଭରେ ଖାଇଲି ତାହେଲେ ସେଇଟା ହଉଛି ରିଆକ୍ସନ। ଏଇଟା ମୁଁ ଖାଉନି, ମୋ ଲୋଭ ଖାଉଛି। ସେଥିପାଇଁ ମହାତ୍ମା ଗାନ୍ଧୀ କହିଥିଲେ ଯଦି 2 ପଟ ରୁଟିରେ ତମ ପେଟ ପୁରି ଯାଉଛି, ତମେ ଯଦି ଲୋଭରେ 3 ପଟ ରୁଟି ଖାଉଛ ତାହେଲେ ସେଇଟା ହଉଛି ଚୋରି। ଚୋରି ମାନେ ନୁହେଁ ଯେ କାହା ଧନ ଚୋରି କରିବା, ସେଇଟା ତ ଚୋରି, କିନ୍ତୁ ଆହୁରି ଡିପ୍ ସେନ୍ସରେ ନେଲେ ଆବଶ୍ୟକତା ଠାରୁ ଯଦି ଆମେ ଟିକେ ଅଧିକ ପଜେସ କରିଦଉଛେ ଲୋଭରେ, ଦେନ୍ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ ସେଇଟା ଚୋରି। ମୁଁ ଏ କଥାଟା କହିଲି, ଏ କଥାଟା କହିବି, ରାଗିକିରି କାହିଁ କହିବି, ଜଣକୁ ଇନସଲ୍ଟ କରିକିରି କାହିଁ କହିବି? ମୁଁ ଏପରି କରୁଛି ମାନେ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ ମାଇ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ। ଯାହାକୁ କହୁଛି ସେଟା ତାର କିଛି ଫରକ ପଡିବ ନାହିଁ। ଇଟ୍ ଇଜ ମାଇ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ। ତାର ତ ମୁଁ ସ୍ଥିର ନୁହଁ, ମୁଁ ଅସ୍ଥିର, ମୁଁ ବାୟାସ୍ଡ, ମୋର ସେଟା ଲିମିଟେସନ। ଯେତେ ଲୋକଙ୍କର ଆପଣ ଦେଖିବେ ଦେ ଆର୍ ରିଆକ୍ଟିଭ, ଆପଣ ସିଓର ହେଇଯିବେ ଯେ ସେମାନେ ହାରିବେ, ଆପଣ ଜିତିବେ। ଆପଣ ଯଦି ସ୍ଥିର, ସେ ଯେତେ ଜୋର ଚିତ୍କାର କରୁ ସେ ହାରିବ। କାହିଁକି? ସେ ନିଜେ ସ୍ଥିର ନୁହଁ, ସେ ନିଜେ ତା ଗୋଡରେ ଛିଡା ହେଇପାରୁନାହିଁ, ନିଜେ ତାର ମାଇଣ୍ଡରେ ଚିନ୍ତା କରିପାରୁନାହିଁ, ସେ ଜାଣିନି ସେ କଣ କରୁଛି। So freedom means freedom your vasanas, lobha, krodha, moho, maya, moho, putra moho. ସେଇ ମୋହଟା ଅର୍ଜୁନଙ୍କର ହେଲା ବ୍ୟାଟେଲ ଫିଲ୍ଡରେ। ଅର୍ଜୁନ became infatuated by the relations. That means that attitude is a reaction, not action. Today's topic is duty and niskama karma. But if you will come to understand this much, then another 10 to 15 minutes I shall go to that topic. Freedom means freedom from our reactions. If we shall analyze the entire activities of Arjuna in the battlefield, that is simply the reaction of Arjuna. Arjuna's infatuation for his relatives, Arjuna's decision not to fight, Arjuna's state of bewilderment or confusion or disappointment, all these were reactions, not actions. And exactly we do react in our family, in our friend circle, in our daily life. Therefore, we take medicine to sleep. Therefore, in spite of having everything, we are unhappy. We are not peaceful. We don't have any peace. Because peace will not be blessed to us if we are fostering reactions, if we are living with reactions. So stop your reactions and start your action. Stop your reaction and start your action. At least from today. At least from today. If you go on reacting, then you will create your karmic circle, karmic bondage. Reaction breeds reaction, reaction breeds reaction, reaction breeds reaction. Therefore, you are always moving in the karmic circle. Once you start your action, the flow of reaction will stop there. Your action will start. That action which is free from any reaction is duty. That action which is free from any reaction is the proper action, the right action, the real voluntary action, real free action, real virtuous action that can give you liberation, that can make you free from karmic bondage. Action kale madhya, karma kale madhya, जो कर्म आपनकु बंधन रे पकेइबो नाही ताकू कर्म कहंती. जो कर्म करले आपण कर्मर बंधन रे पड़ी जाउछंती ताहा कर्म नुह, ताहा होची रिएक्शन, केवल प्रतिक्रिया. जदि प्रकृतर एक्शन टी आमे करिबा, कर्म टी करिबा, से कर्म केबे हेले हमकु बंधन रे पकेइबो नाही. So when action is done in the sense of duty, when the action is done in the sense of duty, that action will never bind us. Oh, therefore Lord Krishna told Arjuna that you just fight because it is your duty as a Kshatriya. It is your duty as a common man also. It is the duty of every man to protect the dharma. You are not here to fight for amusement, for entertainment. It is not drama, it is not film. Here we are present in the battlefield with that urgency. This is very important moment of life. This is very important for the coming generation. That dharma should be established. Otherwise the future generation will be destroyed. So you should behave rationally. So you take this work, this action in the sense of duty. And when you do your action in the sense of duty, your whole attention will be fixed on only action, only the skill of action. And that is the skill of action, that we have to focus on action only, not on the consequences, not the past reactions. Yoga karmasu kausalam. Yoga karmasu kausalam. Meaning is that we have to know the skill of doing an action so that our action will not bind us. So I am suffering from my reactions till the date. The whole life is lived with reactions. Now also I am reacting and reacting. So how can I be free from reaction and I can start action? This kausala, this skill, this wisdom, everybody should have. That is karma yoga. So make your karma as a yoga. Do karma yoga. Learn karma yoga. Be a karma yogi. And who is a karma yogi? Now, who performs an action without any reaction of the past and without the reaction of the future. That means without expectation of the consequences. That is also reaction. If I am doing an action with an imaginary expectation, imaginary, unreal, whimsical expectation of the consequences which are not certain, and I am being occupied by that imagination, then that is simply my reaction. So karma yoga means make your karma as a yoga. That means that will help you to liberate yourself. To liberate yourself. Karma should be a way for your liberation. Karma should not be your bondage. So doing karma is not important. Doing karma with proper skill, proper technique, proper wisdom, that karma will liberate me, will give me absolute freedom. That by doing that action, I shall not be bound by that action. That is karma yoga. Here comes duty. So duty is not only fixed in the battlefield for Arjuna. Duty is meant for each and every one of us. Duty of a father, duty of a mother, duty of a teacher, duty of a doctor, duty of a salesman, duty of a citizen, duty of an officer, duty of a soldier in the battlefield. Everybody should be dutiful. We are all interested for being beautiful, but we are not dutiful. We don't do anything in the sense of duty. Suppose I am a father. Father means some duties are fixed for a father. But in course of doing my duties, I should not be attached to that. I should not have that infatuation. I am just playing a role. I am just playing the role of a father, as Rama Sahu or Rama Patnaik is playing the role of Ravana in that drama. While playing the role of Ravana on the stage, Rama Sahu knows that he is Rama Sahu, but he is playing the role of Ravana. He is acting as Ravana. He is doing that duty for the sake of drama. But he knows that he is not Ravana. Similarly, I am not a father. I am doing the duty of a father. I am simply doing the duty of a father. I am a father. At the same time, I am a son. I am a husband. I am a brother. I am a teacher. I am a citizen. So I am everything. I am playing many roles. I am everything and I am Mr. Nobody. So the Mr. Nobody is playing different roles only in the sense of a duty. Only in the sense of duty. Only in the sense of duty. If simply I am a father and I am attached to with my fatherly affections and I fail to do my duty as a teacher in the classroom, I fail to do my other duties and I am only attached with my fatherly attachments, then that is infatuation. That exactly happened to Arjuna in the battlefield. That here in the battlefield you are not Arjuna. Here in the battlefield they are not your brothers, they are not your teachers. Here in the battlefield you are a Kshatriya, you are a warrior. So you do your duty as the situation demands. Now you, as the actor plays the role of Ravana on the stage, similarly you are playing the role of a fighter on the stage, on the battlefield. So you play that role only in the sense of a duty. This is possible. This is possible. One can focus on duty only. One can perform his action in the sense of duty only when one becomes a niskama karmi. When one becomes a niskama karmi. A niskama karmi can do this. Only a niskama karmi can focus on his duty, can do every action being free from reactions. Now reactions are out. Now we are able to do action at the present moment. That means we really exist at the present moment. But our mind roams in the past and the future, and therefore mind acts being reacted by the past and the future, and mind lives in the reactions. So if we suspend the past and the future and we focus our whole attention to the present moment and the present action, how it is possible? Now it is possible. We can do any action in the sense of a duty when we can follow, when we follow the ethics of a niskama karma. Ethics of a niskama karma. That means we should not be disturbed by, we should not be confused by, and we should not foster, we should not invite unnecessary kamanas, unnecessary desires of the past, and desires about the future. These are unnecessary desires. These are imaginary desires. Niskama means the suspension of unnecessary kamanas, unnecessary desires that disturbs our attention for doing an action. Kamana is necessary. We should have a desire, we should have orientation, we should have planning, we should have a design, we should have purpose, we should have intention. Otherwise, we can't do voluntary action. We started with voluntary action means we have a choice, we have desire, we have kamana, we have a planning to do something. That's good. You think what to do. You plan what to do. You make yourself oriented. That's good. But once you decide to do something, while doing that action, don't be biased by the past and future. Don't be motivated by unnecessary, imaginary expectations, desires, kamanas, vasanas. That is niskama. Give 100% concentration on your action. As yesterday, I had given the example of a batsman and the ball. I am the batsman. I shall strike the ball as the ball deserves. I don't know who is throwing that ball, whether Pakistan is throwing or England is throwing. I don't know. I also don't belong to one country. Here I am a batsman, and my duty is to strike the ball, and I don't know in which direction the ball will come, in which motion the ball will come, in which speed the ball will come. I don't know. It will come instantly. And that at that present moment, I have to be very much careful to observe the motion of the ball and to strike accordingly as the ball deserves. Our attention, our mind should be meditative, should be concentrated, should be pinpointed in our present moment of action, and we should do that in the sense of duty, And without having any kamana, unnecessary kamana about past and about future. Yesterday we had discussed that in the battlefield, the fighter is only visualizing adharma, not adharmi. Who is adharmi, he is not seen. The war is meant to protect dharma. So I am here only to protect dharma, and I shall fight against adharma. So I don't know who is adharmi. Whoever is adharmi, he may be my brother, father, anybody, my teacher, anybody else. I shall fight against adharma, not against adharmi. Adharmi is not seen. I just see adharma. Therefore I fight, and that is my duty. If I think adharmi behind the adharma, then I shall have emotional attachments. Then I shall be attached with the person who is adharmi. Oh, he is Duryodhana, he is my brother. Oh, Dronacharya, he is my teacher. Such emotions will come. Similarly, if I am a dharmi, I suspend that. That is only a fight between dharma and adharma. No dharmi is there, no adharmi is there, no Arjuna is there, no Duryodhana is there. If we shall do his action in such a state of mind, there is no karta, there is no agent, there is no agency. Only actions are done. Only actions are done. I shall give an example. Suppose as a teacher, I am valuing the answer scripts. While valuing the answer scripts, if I am really an examiner, I never think that of course there is no scope of knowing the answer script belongs to this person or that person, because it comes with coding. Anyway, so this is an answer script. My duty is to give the appropriate mark as the student deserves, as the answer script deserves. I don't know who is that student. Similarly, in the course of evaluation, I forget that I am valuing, I am giving mark. Then what is happening there? Only valuation is going on. Valuation is going on. Not I am here, not the students are there, only the answer scripts are there, and the answer scripts are getting their values as they deserve. Similarly, when we focus on action in the sense of duty, and we do it without having any sort of reaction, we suspend our agency. We are free from our agency. So this is the qualification of a Niskama Karmi. In how Niskama Karma is done, there are 3 to 4 points. Number 1 is, we can do Niskama Karma, when we are free from karta bhava, or the sense of agency. The agent is there. Without agent, the action will not be done. The agent is there, but there is no sense of agency. If I shall think that I am Arjuna, then there is Duryodhana. Then there is his teacher, Dronacharya. If I am Arjuna, then I can see Duryodhana and Dronacharya as my brother and teacher. If the Arjuna is not here, only a fighter is here, then what shall I see? There is no Duryodhana, nobody else. No teacher, no brother, no father, nobody else. So if the karta bhava is suspended here, then I can see only the duty. Only the duty. When mother feeds her child, she forgets that she is my child, that I am feeding my child, that I am a mother and she is my child. No. She is only interested that I am, that the feeding is going on. She is so much involved in that action that one becomes his action. Our action becomes our character. Our action becomes our character. You shall do this according to your svabhava, according to your swadharma. You will do it. As a driver, a skilled driver, he forgets that He is a driver and he is driving. Only the driving goes on. But the new drivers, those take training, they are very much conscious. They hold the steering consciously. They do everything consciously. But a skilled driver forgets that he is driving. Similarly, a skilled actor forgets that he is the agent. Only action is done by its own course of action, by its own way, by its own direction, by its own skill. So the first point is, in the Niskama Karma, there is no agency, there is no sense of agency. Second thing is, Niskama Karma is possible, which will not bind us when we do something for Lokasangraha, when you do something for the well-being of all. Whenever we do something for Lokasangraha, for the well-being of all, that is Niskama Karma. Because I am not doing anything for me. If I did something, a little thing, very little thing for the society, for the benefit of others, for the well-being of others, then that is Niskama Karma. That is a selfless karma, selfless action, because it is meant for Lokasangraha, it is meant for the welfare of all. Second. Third point, every action that we do, that should be done in the sense of a yajna. The sense of yajna means sacrifice. That I did this action and I don't have any expectation for the consequences. As in yajna, whatever we put on the fire, it is burnt and we can't get it returned. We can't get it back. Suppose we pour ghee on yajna kunda, on the fire will burn that ghee. Once we give, we can't get it returned. Similarly, once we do an action, forget that action. Don't expect its result. Result will come automatically, mathematically. Action is done means result will follow. You desire or you desire not. Action will follow. But psychologically you don't follow. Action will follow, a result will follow your action. You don't follow psychologically. You don't run after your action. After doing an action, do another action, do another action, do another action. Action, the life is a series of actions. So where you stop? Why should you stop? Why should you stop at a place and overthink about the consequences? Why should you stop somewhere and look at the back? Don't look at the back. Go ahead. Go ahead, because every moment is the moment of your action. Every moment is an action situation. Every moment is a demand for action. So there is no scope for thinking about the consequences. There is no scope for inviting unnecessary desires. And there is no scope for reaction. Because we have no time for action. Why should we spoil time for reaction? So, make your action an instance of a yajna, that means sacrifice, as everything is burnt in fire, in yajna kunda. Similarly, once you do an action, you forget it. Forget it. Do and forget. Give and forget. Help, forget. If you are helping somebody, forget it. Forget it means it is burned in Yajna. You can't get it back. You can't get it back. What is burned in Yajna? What is burned in fire? You power ghee means it is burned. Don't expect that. Similarly, if you did a charity, if you helped somebody, if you gave something, if you helped somebody, if you did an action, don't run after it. Don't run after the appreciation. Don't run after anything else. If you run after the consequences, then you are doing injustice to the present karma. Therefore, you are not a karma yogi. A karma yogi should take every instance of action as yajna. Number 3. Number 4, do everything with complete surrender. That I am not the instrument. I am only an instrument. I am not the agent. I am doing everything for him. For him. I don't see it is Jagannath, or it is Lord Shiva, or it is Lord Krishna, or it is Allah, or it is Jesus. I don't see. For him. For that. There is a higher soul, there is a higher self. There is something beyond my intellect, beyond my limitation. We may call it nature, we may call it cosmic nature. We may call it a higher consciousness. For that, for him, I am doing this. His wish is fulfilled. His action is done. I am simply an instrument. There is no harm in thinking so. There is no harm. Somebody will ask, why should I think I am doing? I shall think that he is doing. If we think so, then our spiritual ability, our spiritual perfection will be better day by day, day by day. We shall become a karma yogi. And to be a karma yogi is very difficult. Therefore, we have to surrender. We have to surrender. Surrender is the highest spiritual sadhana. And the last point of Niskama Karma is that we should do that karma which liberates us, which does not bind us anyway, neither bodily nor mentally. Anyway, psychologically also, we should not be bound by our action. There are two types of bandhana. There are two types of attachments. Attachment for vastu. Attachment for vastu. This house, my son, my wife, my child, my bank balance, my property, my position, my chair. This is vastu vasana. Attachment for vastu. A yogi, by his wisdom, may be able to be free from this vastu vasana. But what happens then? The vastu is out. The vastu is no more. I forget the vastu. But that vastu remained in my mind as a vishaya. Vastu is out. I am free from vastu. But that vastu remains in my mind as a vishaya. Vishaya means subject. Vishaya means idea. So that is also another bondage and very serious bondage. Many people try to win over Vastu Vasana, but they become trapped again by Vishaya Vasana. So a yogi, a karma yogi, a niskama karmi should not have any attachment for Vastu and Vishaya. Vastu is out and thoughts about that Vastu, ideas about that Vastu, they are also out. If Vastu is out, but I am only thinking about that Vastu, then that Vastu is also present in my mind in very subtle way. So we should be free from the gross image and from the subtle vasana, Vishaya, Vastu and Vishaya. No expectation for Vastu, no expectation for Vishaya. Then we can get liberation. Then we can be free from bondage of Vastu and bondage of Vishaya. That is Niskama Karma. So these 5 points are they determine Niskama Karma. They define Niskama Karma. Thank you. If you have any question, you may unmute and ask. If you have any question, you may unmute and ask. Okay, thank you. So we shall meet again tomorrow with another topic, that is Sthitapagya. Thank you.